Good morning, everyone. This is your weekly podcast, Knowledge Empowers. With you is me, Kat. 안녕하세요. Then we have Baruch.
Hello.
And we have Kolat.
Dobre rano, good morning, everyone.
Ooh. We were trying to fix our mics this morning, and finally my mic is fixed.
Congratulations. You sound much better.
And we are going to tackle a very interesting topic today. And it is becoming a manager, or to become or not to become a manager. Baruch, for you, you did the training. What did you realize? Did you want it to become a manager, or you didn't want it to become a manager?
At this point, I would like to become manager, but at that time, I was quite younger. Younger. And at that time, I didn't feel really ready. Like I had the theory, I had the knowledge. I didn't feel like I'm mature enough to be taking care of other employees, to be responsible for them. It wasn't fear of responsibility. It was rather, maybe it was responsibility, but today I would be ready to take that responsibility. At that time, not really. Maybe at that time, after I finished, I realized how much responsibility that is. And sometimes I wonder, like, why so many people want to become managers? Like, what do you think, Kat? Kolach? Why? Like, when you look at the teams, there are so many people who want to become managers. Do you think it's like?
I'll tell you what my reason was, but I'm wondering what Kolach thinks. Money, power, love to work with people.
No, usually it depends what company you are at, I would say. And so it's strongly depending on the environment where you are being grown up or you're growing in. And but when it comes to the usual corporate world or the usual setup of the companies, when you look at them at this stage, they are highly hierarchical. There is a strong hierarchy in there. You have a boss, you have a CEO, somebody who owns the company, you have the C-level management, you have middle-level management, you have first-line management, you have employees. And when it comes to becoming a manager, it usually is connected to somehow to the status. It's connected to your ego. So in these hierarchy companies, it's mostly about it to become either gain new power, gain the responsibility, be empowered, be able to do something on top. So it's all about these status possibilities. However, there is now a movement when it comes that the companies are not anymore about the hierarchy. It's more, I would say, not flat, but it's about being equal to each other. Those are like teal organizations, which you can read more about. And it's like a future organizations. I think that the book even called like that, future organizations, where the manager is not anymore the manager. It's more about it's more about a leader or somebody who has just different responsibilities than the rest of the team. He's not managing them. He's not controlling the team. He's more facilitating the discussions, facilitating the group behavior and decisions. It's not anymore about the pure status and hierarchy. It's about collaboration itself. So it depends on how you define a manager, how you define a leader. And based on that, you can be starting guessing why people want to be managers.
Kat, why did you become a manager? Or did you always know you want to become a manager?
Oh no, that never even fly through my mind. It was actually Frank who asked. I was 4 years in the company, and he asked me whether I have ever considered to be a manager one day, and my immediate answer was, I don't have a university degree.
He was
And he
your
looked.
manager at that time?
We had only him at that time. There was no other manager except him. And I was looking at him like, so my answer was, I don't have a university degree. And he looked at me, what that has to do with university degree? It's about the skills. And I'm not saying you can become a manager right now. It's a long journey ahead of you, but I see the potential in you. So that was the very, very first time. And it took another 5 years until I became a manager, but that was the very first time. And then once I started doing the studies and everything, the strong reason for me behind was I was always a top performer, like, because I love work. It's just like, I enjoy my work. But I was fed up every time I opened the conversation about the salary increase to hearing all the bullshit around. Oh, you need to be top performer. Oh, you need to be this, you need to be that, and you need to achieve this, and I've been hearing this every single time we had a performance review, so twice a year. And every time I said, yeah, but I am fulfilling all of those, what you're just telling me. So when can my salary be raised? And again, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, damn, I really want to be manager just to find out the things behind. How is it happening? What are the reasons, etc. Then I did become a manager. And I just found out how lazy our managers were. Because fair enough, it's not easy to raise someone's salary. And again, depends on the company, of course, but it takes about 1 year to get someone's, it depends on the year when you have the discussion, whether you are able to tackle it in the right time. But
we are talking about deeply about this topic, right? In one podcast. I think people can listen to that.
Yeah, you're right. So I don't need to go again into deep. So that's what I really wanted to understand. And then also, I had mentored a general manager, the highest person we had in our company. And he told me, Kat, manager supposed to serve his or her employees. It's supposed to be servant for his or her employees. And I can tell you many managers would disagree with me because it's they think it's about the power. Many people who become the managers, they become, we call it the God syndrome. Like, I'm the God and who do you think you are? But I really, ever since he told me that you become the servant, I fully agree with that, because managers should be there for the people to help them to make their jobs meaningful, help them with opportunities, help their employees thrive, or even get it, whatever they want to get. I said that's what the manager should be there for, and not stopping the team or highlighting your ego, whatever you want.
I think that what you just mentioned about stopping somebody's or creating the environment is strongly connected to how you define a manager. Because, for example, in ETL, which is like something like Lean Six Sigma and all these branches of this IT infrastructure library system, manager is defined as a person who is managing and controlling a process. So that's why I feel that when it comes to managerial role, in our role, there was a lot of mess when it comes to description of the role. And that's why a lot of people understand it differently. So I right now have a challenge for you. So define the manager. Give me your definition of a manager.
I don't want to say I know 3 because definitely there are more, but let's talk about, let's say, people manager, business manager, project manager, and of course there are other managers. But people manager, or at least in the previous company, it's different in this company as well. And you can have a combination people and a business manager as well. But people manager is a person that really takes care of the the team from administration point of view, like approving your attendance in the tool based on the country law. They have to follow some of the aspects like approving your vacation, sick leaves, blah, blah, blah. Is responsible for people's development, whether your hard skills, soft skills, potential rotation, etc. Needs to collaborate with the business manager if there is a different manager responsible for the business, so can lead the team wherever that needs to be led. And also should take care of the team from fun perspective, so do some activities, either team building activities, volunteering, etc. The business manager usually focus really on the business KPIs. What is the target? What should we do from the business perspective? Bring the strategy on, and needs to collaborate with the people manager if the business manager is not responsible for people themselves, plus other. And the project manager is really responsible for project itself. Usually project manager receives a team. This is your team, and these people will now collaborate with you. But project manager doesn't or is not taking care of the behavioral perspective of the people, but really focusing on like the deadline of the project or task, process, delivery, work with stakeholders, steering committees, etc. That's my definition. The environment keeps changing, and like what I like currently here is like it was shock for me that I have a American manager, right? And I just have one manager right now, which for me is like, whoa, that's amazing that that person has access to all the tools, no matter where in the country we are. And my team is really global. So my closest colleague is in Israel, then Malaysia, then Bangalore, Shanghai, Austin, Hopkinton, Ireland, and Santa Clara. So that's my team, right? And we just have one manager, and that manager has access to all the tools to do the administration, but also does the business with us. And it's perfect because I just speak to one person and not to think of, oh my God, for this part, I need to speak to that person. For this part, I need to speak to that person. For that part, I need to speak to that person.
That's one thing. The other thing, what I hear is, or what I see here, you can't, like you said, like project manager takes care of deadlines, not about behaviors. But that's not possible. That's not fucking possible, you know, like not to care about deadlines and or to take care of only of deadlines and not behavior. Like, but how can a project manager take care only, like you are supposed to submit your work by Friday and you are not communicating well? Like, how am I not supposed to connect these two things and work with those?
The plan at that time was that if the project manager has a problem with employee behavior, reports it to the manager, and the manager is supposed to fix it. But exactly why you're saying it's stupid is because the project manager is the witness of that behavior and should learn how to communicate and fixing it, because the manager is far away to actually, and it would just deal too long. So these are just I'm just saying definitions. I'm not saying they're correct.
because the business manager doesn't know about due dates or missed deadlines or for example, vacations, you know, like you're saying, like people manager takes care of vacations, like business manager doesn't care about vacations. Like, okay, we have a workload and people manager just approve the vacation. Like what the...
and I'll tell you also that when I've become the manager and I had compliance team, and I had both roles, the business as well as people. And suddenly, and it was the best work for me from the perspective of prioritization, because suddenly, let's say small things, which are not important at all, I was not even focusing on them because I was so busy with the business that you really prioritize what's important and you don't even tackle the unimportant stuff. I'll give you an example. And I'll give you an example with Frank, because I admire him from this perspective. So I used to be a very emotional person.
You still are.
But it's different. It's different.
Yeah, very different.
And he never used my own emotions against me whenever we had performance review, discussions, etc. He only used them when he said, if you want to be one day on this position, this is what you need to work on. And I'm going to help you to work on this. But he never used them against me, like, because you did this and you behave like this, and I don't know, you were emotional. I don't know, I'm not going to give you bonus or something like that. Yeah. And I had managers that did that to me, like, because you behave like this. So for me, he was the, I looked up to him like, wow, so he actually really works with me, and he trying to understand me. He's trying to understand, let's say, my emotions, but he's trying to help me to find the right education, how I can tackle a particular situation that I wouldn't use my emotions, but rather solutioning or investigating, etc. And I was like, wow, I want to learn that skill. That not to judge people by the emotions, but really based on their skills or their potential, etc. I'm not saying it was easy. It was actually the hardest thing for me, and it took years. But he was huge inspiration for me from this perspective. And once I was the manager in compliance team, those, I don't know, there were parts that were not important for me suddenly because of the business and the heavy workload, etc. And it helped me then once I came back as a manager to our team. People said that you changed, you were different as team leader and you've changed. It's just because the business taught me refocusing or really focusing on more essential parts rather than on those silly things. I don't know how to define that.
So if I summarize it well, you took care more of a business than emotional well-being of people?
Let's say it like this. So I had a lady that came back from maternity leave and started to work. And her husband had to take the little one to doctor. And for 2 hours, she's been constantly on the phone telling the husband, no, you need to go to this doctor. No, you need to ask this question. No, you da. In my previous state, my reaction would be, how come you are not working? You're supposed to do the job. You just let 2 hours of your private work or of your private stuff instead of being at work and doing your job. That would be my old self when I was 20 something. And now what my reaction actually was, I called her aside and I said, listen, I see that you are having troubles because you are really focusing on your daughter. And of course, you are not able to focus on work. You know what? Go deal with your husband, go with your kid, take care of your kid, take care of the husband, calm down. If you do want, you can finish the work, let's say in the evening, or even you don't have to. Just go settle it down and let's come 1 hour earlier tomorrow, for example. And she was looking at me like, what do you mean? I'm like, look, you are in a state that you are not able to perform at all because you are worried as a mother for your kid. And I get that, even though I'm not a mother, but I get it. And I was looking more for a long-term goals because guess what, guys, we do need mothers. Because if there will be no future generation, there will be no one working on my own retirement. So I needed to make sure that even though I have mothers in my team, that they can stay mothers. And at that time, that was priority number one, not the business. I needed to make sure that her state of mind is calmed and health of your kid or your husband or your closest family is always priority number one. And then because of the behavior I had, she felt more calmer. And the next day she was like, wow, Kate, I never had such a response from a manager. And she was, let's say, more loyal to me and the business, because she knew that if something like this appears, she can really deal with it. And then she will focus on the work.
So is how come you became a manager? I mean, you didn't really answer the question, like, because you said Frick told you you have a potential, but how come you agreed?
Wasn't I agreed when he said that? I was like, so my immediate answer was I don't have university degree, and and then I asked him, okay, but how does it look like? What does it mean I can become a manager? And then he showed me the learning program, the development program we had, that I would need to participate, that I need to go through these education modules. I need to study. The first year, actually, the first 2 years, I didn't progress much because of the manager I had at the time. And then again, when I switched back to Frank, he was very diligent. So we really were sitting together once a month. We went through the module. If he said that I do have enough of experience of that particular development package, we could move to the next module. If he saw that I am missing some specific skills or experience, he either gave me a project or a task to work on so I could get some of those experiences. After 2 years of the studies, I had to pass the exams. Those were actually a couple days exams. And then you have a result. That still doesn't mean you can become a manager right away. Because also, even from the exams, you get an evaluation form, and the exams are good that they also spot some maybe things that you are missing, like mighting and strategy that still doesn't go well together. And then your manager reads the evaluation and again just sort of collaborates with you or provides you a task that you can still work on. And then you can apply on any open positions. And basically, your manager speaks to the HR and says, I have now a person ready, pass the exams. Here is the evaluation form. These are the projects the person worked on to really gather the skills, can go for an interview. And that's how I then applied for an open manager position. I passed the 2 rounds of interviews. And the manager in US said that he wants me. And I was at that time in Seattle airport when we landed, and I found out that we lost luggage, or the airport lost our luggage, and I received an SMS from Frank, you passed, you got the manager position. And I was like, wow. Oh my God, what did I do to myself? and I still remember exact place where I was when I received that SMS, and the rest is history. And then I become a manager.
So why did you become a manager, Kat? I'm sorry, but you still didn't.
I said I wanted to find out the details about the salaries.
So that's the only reason? Okay,
no.
So today, why do you do the manager job? Or I mean,
why did I?
Yeah, why did you? Like, I mean, how today would you define your reason to be a manager?
It fulfilled all my needs for taking care of people, which I love. Mm-hmm. It fulfilled my reasoning to help develop people, to show them how you can reach for opportunities. Just because I'm good in networking, that I could help them reach of their potential goals or opportunities or whatever. And I love if I was able to make their job meaningful. It's not just that you come do the job from 9 to 5, but if I was able to make it a bit meaningful for them. So it really fulfilled those of my needs that I had.
I think that's like very, let's say, noble reason. And do you think if you for example went for it just for money, do you think you would last so long? Or what would you say? What would you say to people just want to do it for money, for example.
If you want the money, stay a subject matter expert. You make way more money than as a manager. When I was a manager to developers team, I had guys in my team who had 3 times higher salary than I had. And I'm not kidding. And you as a manager will many times have this, that your employees have actually higher salary than you do. And it's normal. But if the money is what you want, go for subject matter expert role. Don't go for manager. And also, for example, what I found about myself is, like Kolaj was saying, there are companies that you have a couple of layers of management, and some companies trying to flatten it down. So I found out about myself, I just want to be the manager on the first line, like a first line manager, that where I collaborate directly with the team, that someone else tells me what's the strategy about what we want to achieve, and I help with the team to achieve it. I would be super sad, and I would be the weakest link if I would be somewhere on the strategy part. I wouldn't be happy at all, and I would quit, because that's not what makes me happy, and it actually makes my head spin. So no, but it's good to find out what you like and what you don't like. Mm-hmm. Why did you not become a manager, Baruch?
I think I realized what you just said, like it's most importantly about people. And if you are not ready to do that, if you are like, my reason for doing the whole training was that I saw it as the only way to grow as career-wise. Like I didn't see any other alternative way that I would like. But I think that was not true, really. Like there were many other options, but no one introduced them to me. And at the same time, I think my manager thought it's a good path for me, which at this point I would agree. I think I would make a decent manager, but at that time I just didn't feel like I'm enough, not even for myself. So at that time, this is the reason why I did not become a manager. I think it's just, that maturity that you need to gain to be confident enough to be responsible for a whole bunch of people.
And that's how we're going to end this session, but we will continue on the next session, because it's not a failure if you don't become the manager, because to realize the responsibility and the heaviness on your shoulders is really big. And on next session, I will even tackle for example, unspoken health issues. I will tackle a few other details behind from the life of a manager. Stay tuned for next session, guys. As I usually say, sugahashasnida.
Bye-bye.
Ciao, bye-bye.
This podcast represents our own opinions, experience, and our own ideas. We do not represent any official statement from our employers, and this is not their official channel representing the company.